Give an MEFCC welcome to Mr. Charlie Cox.
Hi.
We're so happy to have you here, genuinely, as you can see.
Yeah, thank you so much for this incredibly warm welcome, guys. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. Before we start, though, while everyone is amped up, I want to try something. Because I know you went to a screening of No Way Home. You snuck in. You wanted to hear the audience reaction. You didn't get it. I will say, for my screening, and I'm sure everyone's here, we screamed like bloody murder. So, all right, we're going to recreate that moment so you can have that moment. Are you ready? We can't play it because we don't have it, but we're going to imagine it.
Yeah. Wait, well, okay, ready?
I'll do
the catch.
Should I throw something at you? No. So, here we go. We have Mr. Peter Parker has fallen into some legal trouble. He needs to see a lawyer. And he's found the best lawyer in the world. On the screen walks Matt Murdock, everyone. Every single time.
Yeah, so this obviously, this is just, I thought it was a funny story to tell in an interview, but it's become like so many of you guys today have come up to me and talked to me about it and said, well, the theater I was in, there was a huge round of applause and there was huge screams. So, but one of my best friends is Tom Hiddleston. All right.
A little bit too loud, guys. Come on.
When I told him that I was going to be in Spider-Man, he said to me, you have to make sure on the first weekend you go and watch the movie and you experience that moment where everyone goes crazy. And I couldn't go on Thursday or Friday. I was working, but I managed to go on Saturday. But from Thursday and Friday, I had so many messages, text messages and emails from my friends who were saying that the movie theaters were screaming when Matt Murdock came on screen. And so I was really excited. And then we went to this movie theater and it was packed and my wife was with me and she's filming me for this moment. Silence. I think I got unlucky, but it's a good story, so yeah. Thank you.
Honestly, I mean, let's go back though. When did you find out that you would potentially return? Because obviously it was always in the cards. We knew once we didn't get a season 4, which boo, we didn't get a season 4 yet, boo. There we go, thank you. Because I was so amped after
No worries.
Season 3 was so good. Oh, they took it away from us.
Yeah.
But we get something bigger.
Yeah.
When did you know?
So I don't know what all the contract rules are, and I didn't ever really know. So I found out that the show we weren't gonna do a season 4, I guess sometime in early 2018, around about then. And obviously we were very disappointed. Everyone was very disappointed. But also we were very proud of what we'd done. And in some ways you have to be grateful that we finished on such a high. So I was happy that had happened. But then I didn't hear anything. I mean, my bosses called me and they said, we're sorry, but it's not happening. But after that, that was it. And I just assumed it was over. I did a play with Tom Hiddleston in New York, and Kevin Feige came to see the play. And that was the first time I met Mr. Feige. First time I'd shaken his hand, and he said hello, and he loved the play, but he didn't mention anything. So that was confirmation for me that it was over. And then during the pandemic, everyone was in isolation, and I was with my family in America where I live, and the phone rang. do you, and, you know, Kevin asked me, do I want to be in Spider-Man? Yes, I do. And it's, you know, it's like, you kind of fall in love with these characters. When you play a character for 5 years, and when you play a character like Matt Murdock, who's so beloved, you know, you fall in love with him a little bit. So it's a weird process to let that go. And now I don't have to for a bit longer. So it's
I'm
pretty
so
cool.
happy. Genuinely. Yes, please, again. That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I feel like Matt is such a rich character. Like, it's, for me in Marvel, it's Spider-Man and Daredevil. Those are the ones that really have the heart, that have the soul. And you brought so much heart and soul to this character. You put yourself through the ringer.
I mean, you got to give a lot of that credit to the creators and the writers of our show, you know, including Jeff Loeb, Drew Goddard, Joe Quesada, Stephen DeKnight, Eric Olson, Doug Petrie, Marco Ramirez. I mean, there's so many incredible writers and creators on that show, and you know, the character that I portrayed was on the page, you know.
Yeah, and the writing was fantastic. What made you realize that it would be as good as it was? Like, I know you went to London, I believe, and you read into Disney's offices. You read the first 2 scripts.
Yeah, but you know, I've read good scripts before,
yeah,
and they haven't turned out well. So what happened was we shot the first season, you know, and I really liked the writing. I really enjoyed the other actors were amazing. I had a really good time, but that's not unusual. Then we went to, you know, then they were editing the show, and I was waiting for it to come out. And then I was in Los Angeles, and we had a day of press, the first day of press, and the show was going to come out like 2 days later. And I was sat with Rosario Dawson, and we were doing the interviews together, and the journalists would come in. And I'd done that loads of times for loads of movies, but it felt different. The journalists were coming in, and they were really excited. And they'd seen the first 6 episodes, and they were very, very complimentary. And I'd been on a flight. I'd been like all around the world. I hadn't slept. I was really tired. But as they were coming in, I was like, oh, wow, okay. They seem to really be responding to this. And then, you know, the reviews started coming out, and the conversation about it happened, and it felt like, oh, wow, this is like one of those special moments that happen so rarely in your life or your career. And you know, I remember thinking, just enjoy this as much as you possibly can, you know, because it's not always that way, you know. So yeah, it's cool. It's very cool.
What do you see in Matt that's not there with other characters? Like, what is so special about Matt and his journey and what he goes through? Because I do feel like there's something different about him. There's just something in that character that you as an actor, when you're doing, you know, Harold Pinter on stage, you can bring as much gravitas to that as you can to Matt Murdock, which isn't always the case for these sorts of characters. But there's a depth to him.
It's hard. I can't really compare to other characters because I don't know them as well, other than what I see. And when they enter, you know, I only really read Daredevil comics, if I'm honest. So, you know, I don't know the world as well. I think one of the things that I like about Matt, he's got this his character, the setup of his character is so rich because he's a lawyer whose job it is to bring people to justice in a legal way. And yet, he then takes the law into his own hands at night. And that conflict of the guilt and the shame, but also the belief in what he's doing and the faith that he has, being pulled in so many different directions, I think makes him very compelling as a character. On top of that, you know, he believes in God. He's a Christian, he's a Catholic, he believes in a Christian God's divine, the world unfolding in a divine way. And at the same time, he's playing God. So again, he's kind of being pulled in these different directions. I also think when you get to play a superhero who is at times a little bit morally questionable, that's very interesting to watch. I want to include these people here as well. So that, you know, it's just, it's all, everything, it's Stanley's creation and all of the amazing illustrators and writers. It's all on the page, you know. Frank Miller, obviously.
Frank Miller.
Is a
Brian Michael
huge
Bendis.
influence. Brian Michael Bendis.
Mark Wade.
Alex Maleev's.
Alex Maleev's art.
You know, that art is just so evocative and stuff. And David Mack. And, I mean, the list goes on, you know.
Absolutely, it does. How do you feel that process changed you as an actor? Like, what did you find in Daredevil that you never found anywhere else?
I remember that Stephen DeKnight, who was the showrunner for the first season, said, the hope with our show is if you turn it on and you don't know what you're watching, and you turn it on and you meet Matt Murdock in the middle of an episode, you should feel that you don't know if he's the good guy or the bad guy. And the same is true of Wilson Fisk. So if you just turned it on and episode 3 of season 2 is playing, and you see Wilson Fisk, you're like, wait, is he the good guy or the bad guy? You shouldn't know that the line should be that blurry. And I think that was really fun, you know.
How did it test you most physically?
Well, it broke my body.
Yeah, you put so much into that.
Yeah,
why did you say yes to that? What made you?
It's so
push
fun,
yourself
though.
To that degree?
It's so fun.
That's the thing?
You know, oh yeah. I mean, like I love the physical aspect of acting. It's not something you often get to do. A lot of acting is talking. So when you get to act with your body, with your movements, it's really fun. And I love the jumping off roofs and throwing myself through fiery hole, whatever it is. I love all that. And I have an amazing stunt double, Chris Brewster, who did an amazing, you know, incredible job. And all of the stunt coordinators on our show deserve so much more praise than they ever got. But I love getting involved with that. You know, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and there was like serious filmmaking going on with that show. You were like some of the one-shot takes. I mean, those are obviously the ones that get the praise. Those are the ones that we go back and watch in the TikTok fan edits that every single person here is liking every single time. But how much did that affect your process? Like working with people that were trying to push this beyond just...
Well, when it comes to those scenes, when it comes to the action sequences, I treat them like dialogue scenes. So I want every moment to make sense. And so me and the stunt coordinators and the directors and the creators have a lot of conversation about what story are we telling here. It's not just action for action's sake. There's got to be a story. There's got to be a reason. And like when when he fights, who he's fighting influences how he fights. You know, so it's always really important to me that there's a real clarity behind those scenes, and I think that's one of the reasons they work. So many of them is because the story that we're telling in those moments is as important as two people, you know, Matt and Elektra sitting across from each other and having a conversation. You know, those fight scenes with Elektra, I thought in season 2 was so much fun because we'd have this relationship. You know, Elodie Yung is such a fantastic actress, and we had this relationship in the scenes where we love each other and we hate each other and we can't stand each other, but we don't want to be separated. You know, it's so complicated. And then we'd go into a battle, but I felt like you feel those same things in the fight sequences as you did in the dialogue scenes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. No, and every single person he worked opposite, like top to bottom, the cast is just fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, how do you feel that those actors, I mean, obviously, beyond the performance you just mentioned, how did those performances affect the way that you understood this character, understood this world? Because they brought so much to it.
What I discovered playing Matt is that as an actor and as a human, you use your eyes so much to communicate. And you draw emotion when you look at other people's eyes and the way they look at you. You draw emotion from that. Like if in real life, if you're having a difficult time with something, and you look into the eyes of someone who loves you, and you see them like empathize with you. It draws emotion in you, right? And acting's the same thing. And I discovered that when I can't look in the other actor's eyes, it's harder to connect emotionally. There's a real, I had to work really hard, and the other actors had to work really hard to keep that connection. And you need really good actors for that. And you know, I was surrounded by the best in the business. You know.
Yeah, I mean, what Vincent D'Onofrio did.
Yeah,
just
unbelievable.
To pick out one, just the levels to that character.
Yeah.
My God, just tremendous.
Yeah. I mean, I learned so much from him. What a tremendous actor. What an amazing human. And we have him back as well.
Oh, that voice, when that voice popped up in Hawkeye.
It's funny with Vincent, you know.
Did you guys talk about it?
Well, you know, we're not supposed to talk about it, right?
True.
And I really want to be respectful of that. It's important. I don't want to ruin it for fans. I don't want people to, you know, I want to keep the secrets that are worth keeping, right? So, but Vincent and I will be like, he'll text me and he'll be like, I know something. But he doesn't want to say it. And I'm like, I know something. So he's like, what do you know? And I'm like, you tell me first. So it's fun. And then occasionally we get on the phone and we're like, okay, here's what I know.
True. Have you guys spoken since then? Have you guys, I mean, obviously we can't confirm where things are going to go from here. I know. I won't ask. You've signed a million things. There are lasers pointing at the stage right now. But did you guys ever talk about where it might go, even before you knew that you would come back? Did you guys keep in touch and talk about
things, ideas that we'd like, but only just between us?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Because neither of you wanted to let this go.
We don't.
Neither of you wanted to let this go. Neither of you wanted to.
No. And to his credit, to Vincent's credit, he never doubted it. I thought it was done. I thought it was over. I really did. But he would be like, no, they'll call us. And I was like, I don't think they will, buddy. I think it's, you know, he never lost faith. So. No. You know, so that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, poor guy. At some point he's going to realize. He's going to be like 17. He's like, they're going to call us.
So, okay, going back to this experience, getting back into the character, how gratifying was it to finally sit down on that set opposite Tom and be that guy again?
You know, it was really interesting. I got really nervous. And I don't get nervous when I act. I never really get nervous. I find it, I don't know, I mean, occasionally on stage for the first couple of nights maybe, but not on camera, on film, because, you know, if you get it wrong, you just do it again. But I found that, you know, I came to Atlanta, I was there for 2 weeks, but I had this one day. I hadn't played the character in over 2 years. And there's this one scene, and, you know, Tom's amazing, and you know, Marissa Tomei, Jon Favreau is one of my heroes. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's such a big moment, and this character is being reintroduced, and if it goes well, the sky's the limit, you know? So I was really nervous, and there was a couple of times where I did my cane. You know, we had this shot where the cane, and then the camera comes up, and then I sit down, and it's me, and then I have these lines, and there was a bunch of takes where I just sat down. I was like, "Oh shit," and I couldn't remember my lines, you know. So I was nervous, but it went well, and you know, it was a strange feeling.
Jon Favreau himself, a Daredevil alum.
That's what I said. So I don't think it made it in the movie because I didn't look for it, but I don't think it made it in the movie. Him and I chatted on the day, and I said, it'd be really cool if we could have an Easter egg about your involvement in the original movie. And there was a line, I think it got cut, I don't think it made it in the final thing, but there was a line where he was trying to remember something that happened, and he said, yeah, I can't remember what happened, I'm a little foggy about that. And it was just like a nice moment. Oh, it's in the movie? Oh, it is? Oh, there you go. Okay, so it's in. I can't remember.
And this audience was cheering for it.
Huh?
This audience was cheering for it.
Yeah, if anyone would have heard it, it would have been me, because my audience was fucking silent.
Yeah. I mean, what were your conversations like with Tom? What was he asking you?
He was so lovely, and he's so excited that I was there. He's such a nice guy, and he made me, that's his film set, and he knows everyone, and he made, it's really important when someone comes in for one day that, you make them feel comfortable and you make them feel welcome and all of those things. And he was a class act in that regards. He was so excited that I was there and talking to me about the character. He clearly watched my show, which, that means a lot, so it's very cool. And, like, as someone who's become a massive Daredevil fan, like, I'm now the guy that I'm like, oh, Daredevil and Spider-Man are in the same scene. It's so cool. So, like, I've become that person that I'm like, I'm also a fan,
Yeah, true. And he always was. I mean, Tom, someone I've talked to over the years, I remember I talked to him before the first movie came out. This was his dream. Like, he loves this world more than anyone.
Yeah.
And he puts himself through it the same way you do.
But you can see that on screen, I think. It's clear. Yeah.
Same for both of you. Like, you can see the love. And, like, that's why, if anyone else had been recast to this role, I think we love the MCU, but it wouldn't have been the same. There couldn't have been a bigger mistake than putting anyone else in this.
Thank you.
Okay. Have you had the conversations?
What?
We love you.
I love you back.
Have there been conversations yet? Have you gotten a call since?
What?
Has anyone called you since the end of No Way Home?
Yeah, I've had a phone call.
You've had a phone call.
Yeah, my mum calls me all the time.
And she and Kevin wear the same hat all the time. It's so weird. You're always confusing them on Zoom.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
The honest truth is, I don't know much.
Yeah.
I know a little bit, and I'm very excited.
Oh, we're excited. How do you think you've changed since then? Because obviously, you really wanted that season 4. Do you think where you wanted the character to go then is the place you want the character to go now? Like, how was that time off? How did you make you understand the material differently?
I've learnt it's better not to speculate out loud in public, because that then becomes a headline, and then you start to warp expectations, and then it becomes a conversation of whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. So I've learned to keep that to myself. I think it's better when you allow the real creative force behind these shows to figure out what they think is best on their own, rather than putting ideas in heads. That's my opinion. So I'm not going to speculate certainly in any detail. The only thing I would say is I don't think it makes sense to pick up where we left off. I think in keeping with a lot of things in the MCU right now, where there's this alternate reality kind of thing going on. What they did in Spider-Man, and what they the cartoon as well.
What if?
What?
What if?
No. The Spider-Man cartoon.
Yes. Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, so it's a good moment to have this. There's been a few years have passed. And now I don't know. It's Daredevil, but maybe it's not quite. It's reimagined. It's slightly different. You know what I text one of my friends when I found out this is all happening? It's Born Again. So it's like an homage to. So the sky's the limit. Let's see.
My everything of my childhood growing up reading those Frank Miller comics lit up in my brain.
Yeah.
With those two words.
Yeah.
I mean, it means so much. And I think another thing with this character, going back, is that to have a person of different abilities, here in the UAE we call them people of determination, but to be able to do that, I know that obviously there was you to prepare, you watched Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman, you blindfolded yourself, you went out into the streets. What were your conversations like with actual people of different abilities, and what it meant to them to have you as a part of this universe and portray that really?
Yeah, so, as an incredible byproduct of playing this character is that I've become affiliated with a number of organizations that that help the visually impaired. That's just been a tremendous kind of gift. And you know, that company Funko, you know, the Funko Pops, they delivered, I think, 1,000 Funkos to my house, and I then took them out to hospitals and schools in the tri-state area where we're filming, and to a number of schools for the blind, and signed them, and it was like such a great thing that came with it. I feel very a great sense of responsibility to get every aspect of that right and authentic. It's really important that it's not overlooked. From little things like the way you use a cane. You don't just swing it from side to side. There's a whole technique to holding it, and the way that it works. You know, what I do with my eyes when I'm filming depends on the size of the other actor. It depends on where the camera is. And it's just really important, but it's really clear to me that it's very important to get that right. This character is so important, not just to the visually impaired community, but also to people who've grown up with any sort of disability or any sort of life adversity. This is someone who has and is overcoming a tremendous difficulty in their life. And that is so true for so many of us. And so it's just it's a great responsibility and one that needs to be taken really seriously. And I feel like, I'm not on social media, I don't read much, so I don't know categorically, but I feel like I've been embraced by that community in a really beautiful way. And I was honored by the American Foundation for the Blind at one point. It was just a lovely, a very humbling byproduct of this whole journey that I've been on.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah.
What was your favorite, going on those journeys, what sticks with you of the things that people told you? Of like having young fans come up to, because obviously there's it's not just you as a superhero, it's you as a representative of multiple communities, myriad communities.
Yeah.
What were the interactions that you remember the best? Like, what do you think back to that pushes you forward and makes you want to do this to the best of its degree?
And I don't think this is not individual to me. I think this is true of great art. I'm always amazed, particularly when I come to conventions and I meet you guys. I'm always amazed at how many people tell me that that this show really helped them get through a hard period of their life. It happens over and over again. And at first I thought that was people just being nice. But it's happened often enough now that I think it's probably true. And actually, when I think back to I had quite a tough a few years in my teenage years that were really tough, as it is for most teenagers, And I remember I leaned very heavily on a television show that really, it was my safe place. It was a thing that I could go home, I could shut the door, I could be with myself, I could put on this show, and it made me feel good, It made me feel safe. And so when I hear people say that to me, I've over the years I've taken that more and more seriously, and that's very, very, again, very humbling to think that your portrayal of a character, my job, that can be that important to people. So that sticks with me a lot. And when someone even today, a few people have said to me, "You don't know what you playing this character has meant for me. It really helped me during a very difficult time," and blah blah blah. And I think that's true of many, many people in many characters in many different shows and etc. But when it's true for our show, that's significant to me. I don't forget that.
Absolutely. And I think you as an actor, I think what you bring to Daredevil that no one else could have is you do have this. You have a strength, but you have a real compassion. Like, you have a gentleness. You can tell that there's a kindness in you in every character that you play that I think comes across and makes Matt's fight that much more affecting. And I think that's really what it does.
Yeah, when the camera's not rolling, I'm a monster, though.
I've heard that, actually.
Thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you.
No, it's true. And yeah, I think, do you feel, I mean, you've also become a father. Do you feel, yeah, absolutely cheer for that. Do you feel that's also changed the way that you look at your career?
Yeah. Yeah. It just changes everything. You know, for me, being a dad is like, I don't have the words. You know, it's just, every moment with them is unbelievably special. Yeah, I'm recently, in the last couple of years, I've played characters who have children. I've played a dad on screen and on stage, and that's been really fun to explore. You know, but it's odd. You know, I got in the. I'm working in London right now. I got in the car yesterday. I'm going back in a minute. I'm going back tonight. But just getting in the car, it's like 24 hours. I'm like, oh man, I miss my family. You know, it's nuts. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, at the end of this, I know you're leaving. The second I knew why you were going, it's because of your kids. It's like you got to go back.
Well, no,
and see your
I'm
kids.
going because I'm working I'm working tomorrow, so I have to go back.
Okay,
Look, I love my kids. If I would definitely stay in Abu Dhabi a couple extra days. But yeah, it's.
We wish you could.
Yeah.
No, true.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
It's odd when it's really funny when your child sees someone in the street recognize you and say, "Can I have a photo?" And trying to explain that to my daughter. She was like, "Why does that person say that they love you?" I'm like, and you have to try and talk to them about what an actor is, and you know, she's just she's just kind of getting it, you know. So it's fun. It's odd.
What was your first answer the first time she asked?
Well, the first time it happened, she didn't have words. She was just kind of observing it. Do you know what I mean? You know, but then it happened the other day, and we were in a restaurant, and she was like, "Why does the waiter love you?"
You're just really good at ordering food.
But now I could say to her, you know, Daddy's an actor, and you know, but like the other day, I did this film Stardust years ago, and it's a little scary, but I thought she could watch the first 15 minutes, you know, because to see her daddy on. All right, so I put on this film, and she was like, "What is this? I don't want to watch this." And I'm like, "Wait and see, just have a look." And then I come on screen, and she's like, "What? Why are you on the screen? I want to watch Frozen." Like, fine, put Frozen on then. Again.
Got to get you in Frozen 3. That's the thing.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, another Matt Murdock question. Actors, I think, have very different relationships with their own playing of superheroes and being in these worlds. Some people, they put a date on it. It's like, okay, after this date, I'm no longer going to do it. After this age, I'm no longer going to do it. I want to step down. I want to move on. Do you have a limit in your head of how long that you would want to be in this world and be playing these sorts of roles, or is it something that you could see doing until they stop calling?
They're going to have to pry it from my cold, dead hand. Look, as long as I'm not walking away, I love it. I'm doing it until I can't stop. You know, I'm going to make a case for a 50-year-old Daredevil still going, you know.
We watch it. Another question. Purely my own fan speculation. Did you catch that brick, or was that CGI? Did you have to practice catching something? How was that filmed?
So I had to catch something.
What did you catch?
It was like a CGI. It was like a green CGI ball.
How'd you have to
and then
practice?
I think maybe we did a couple without. I think we did a couple without. I think there was a question about they weren't 100% sure what they wanted it to be. It was going to be a brick, but it might have been something else. I can't. So we had to do it a few different ways. But on the show, when we did stuff like that, we didn't have any CGI. So it was always practical. So it was quite fun to be able to do it and not have to worry about actually doing it right, you know?
How do you practice that sort of thing? Do you have your
So there's a
partner
scene
at home?
in episode 4 of season 1 of Daredevil's show. Rosario Dawson throws my sweater at me, and I catch it like that. It took forever, you know. And it was my idea, and I felt really guilty because I was like wasting everyone's time. So she would say the line, and then one of the one of the ADs would be like, 3, 2, 1, go, and she'd throw it, and I'd try and catch it. But it's so cool in this. I'm so proud of it. You know what I mean? But yeah, it'd be nice to not have to worry about that all the time.
Yeah, I know Tobey Maguire like had to catch the thing in Spider-Man. I think it's kind of in the first Spider-Man.
Yeah.
In the lunch scene. Also
Oh,
practical.
yeah.
Completely practical.
Oh, really?
Era, yeah,
That's cool. That's really cool. It's
Yeah.
The thing is, when you can do it practical, it feels better. It's nicer. It's more exciting.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Is that something, will you push to do, because obviously we're going under a different regime. I know you don't want to create headlines, but are there certain things that you want to make sure that you do in any future iterations of Daredevil?
Well, look, the thing about DD is he doesn't have superpowers per se. You
Yeah.
know, he's not like invincible. He's not super strong. So this character lends itself really well to practical stuff. For me, it feels better when it feels real and dangerous. But then there are things in the, you know, to be true to the comics, like what he can do with his baton, that sense of aim that he has to be able to take it out and bounce it across, hit a wall and then hit someone. That'd be cool to do that stuff occasionally. One of the problems I always have is, you know, the little casing that the batons go in. I can take them out really well, but I can't get them back in because it's really difficult and I have to look. But of course, Daredevil would never look. And there's so many times where I'm like, man, I'm trying to, you know what I mean? So it'd be cool to not have to worry about that all the time.
Sure.
There was one moment that I'm really proud of in the series is in season 2, towards the end. I think it's like episode 12, maybe even 13. It's one of the last episodes. Melvin Potter gives me the updated batons, and he shows me how to use them. And he's like, you can throw it like that, you can grapple like that, they can be used like that, or it can be a thing. And when I knew that scene was going to be in it, I found out exactly what the scene was on a Friday night, and we were shooting it on Monday. And I knew that there was going to be this moment where he hands me a thing, and I wanted to do something cool with it. So I went up to one of the stunt guys, and I was like, show me something cool with this. So he took it, and he went, okay, and he went, and he spun it like that. I was like, oh man, that's so cool. So I went away, I took one home with me, which I'm not supposed to do. and I practiced it all weekend. I was walking around trying to do this thing. And then we did it on the day, and it's really cool. I'm really proud of that moment. He hands me a thing, and I say something like, thank you, I don't know what to say. And then I spin it on my fingers and then catch it. And I'm like, it feels better that I did that and it wasn't done, you know?
Absolutely. It's fantastic. We do love you.
Thank you.
We're going to cut. In 1 minute, I'm going to turn to you guys for questions. So, before we do that, ultimately, what is it that you would like to do, not only with Daredevil, but in your own future that you have not had a chance to do yet?
Oh, man. I don't know. The world is a little scary right now for many reasons. And it can be a little overwhelming. And I think maybe you become very acutely aware of a lot of stuff when you have kids because you're thinking about their future and all that kind of stuff. I don't tend to talk about that stuff so much. I don't happen to believe I don't know. I don't really try to have a public opinions about that kind of stuff. You know, I'm an actor. I love acting, and I like talking about that. And the things that are really important to me right now are, you know, being a dad, spending time with my family. But I hope it doesn't sound too trite, but like little things like coming here and meeting you guys and meeting people from other cultures. And if more people did that, if more people were afforded the opportunity to travel to parts of the world that they wouldn't usually go to and meet other cultures and recognize how we're all the same. You know, we're all the same. We all just you know, want to live our lives and have, you know, get on. Do you know what I mean? I'd like to, I don't know how, I don't know what that looks like, but I'd like to just continue to contribute to that idea of just bringing people together and just, can we all just get on, you know?
Absolutely. All right. I'd love to turn to you guys. We'll start here. Here, white shirt. Then we'll get to you guys next. Yes.
Okay, my daughter wants to ask the question.
Please.
Hi, what advice would you give to your past self?
To my
Past self.
worry less. I don't, seriously, like, having just said the world is a scary place. What I mean is, I don't know about you guys, but like, being a teenager or in your early 20s, I worried so much about stuff. It's really, growing up is really painful. You know, it can be really hard. And, you know, I heard someone once say, worrying is praying for what you don't want to happen. So try to worry less and trust that, you know, that life will unfold pretty much as it's supposed to. And there's always going to be challenges, but not just in your career, in life, and everything. Just try and enjoy it as much as you can, because it's so precious.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great question.
The other mic is over there.
Other mic?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do one here. Yeah.
Oh, aha. You mentioned a show earlier that you like leaned on as a child. What was that show?
Friends. I love that show, man. I'll still like, if it's, you know, it's been a long day and I'm tired and I don't want to challenge myself. I just want to feel good. There's Joey and Chandler and, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then here? Yeah.
Hi. Hi, not Electra.
Thank you. Okay. First of all, if you like Friends, I suggest you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine because it's so good.
I know. I love that show. That's
I think
great.
you'd love it. Yeah.
It's great.
Second of all, which suit is your favorite for Matt Murdock? The red one or the black one? Like, not thinking of technicality, because obviously the red one is more technical, but like, which one do you just love more? Also, I love you. I had to sneak
Add a
that in
question
there.
mark. I love you? That's the question.
It's a really difficult question to answer, but
I have my answer.
but it's more for me. It's like what I love. One of the things I love that we did in our show is that we made him feel like he has to earn it. The red suit, he has to earn it, and then he disregards it in season 3. And I love that the story incorporates. Like sometimes in the bad version of these shows, they just have a suit. But I love how much story detail went into having the suit. Like, he didn't have a suit, and then he's in a fight with Wilson Fisk, and he realizes the guy's wearing something that's protecting him. And so he decides, I'm gonna get something made. And then the priest says to him, it's not just about protection. If you're gonna do this, you have to be a symbol. And it's emotionally, the development of the suit is emotionally instigated by his journey, and I love that. So I think the iconic red suit is probably, it's exciting to me, and it feels earned, but you know, it's much easier to pee in the other one.
William, I don't want you to feel left out, so I love you, William.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so you don't feel left out.
Thank you.
William!
Much appreciated. Okay, back over here. Back here. Yes, waving hand. Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. I just need to check if Kevin Feige's not here. But I have a question for you. Would you rather have another season of Daredevil, or would you want to be another character in the DC universe?
Oh, no. Another season of Daredevil. Easy. Thank you. Good question. Cheers, DD. This little boy here? This boy here?
Yeah.
I would like to know if like in how comfortable was the suit you were wearing?
Yeah, good question. It was actually more comfortable than people think it is. The problem is it's very, very hot. And when you're jumping around and sweating and stuff.
I realize that's the same for a lot of other.
Yeah, I bet. Great question. Thank you.
Excellent. Here.
First of all, thank you so much for the shows you made. It's amazing. My question is, as Murdoch, how do you describe the challenge that he has to face with Frank Castle's ideals, the Punisher, where his view of justice conflicts the way the Frank Murdoch's conflict?
Yeah, really good question. I think, the interesting conversation there is clearly to Matt, that crosses a line. But who gets to decide what that line is, and why does Matt feel like his version of it is acceptable and Frank's isn't? And that was part of that interesting conversation in season 2, and I think there's more to be explored there. It's such a shame John couldn't be here today. He plays that character so well. He's such a legend, such an amazing actor, such a great person. Yeah, but yeah, it's that's more of this kind of aspect of Matt and his world where he feels pulled in different directions. And actually that question of where is that line is such a massive conversation in real life in every single area. Like sometimes I think as human beings we want to see things in black and white. It's either this or it's that. It's just not true. It's a sliding scale, and people have different opinions. They feel differently about so many things, and it's okay to feel differently about things. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. All right, we're gonna go to the back first. Oh no, Charlie, who do you want to call on?
The lady who really, really wants to be called upon.
Okay.
I'll let you decide from now on. Yeah.
First of all, I want to say I love you so much, and I'm such a big fan of Daredevil and the Daredevil universe. Everything about it, it's my childhood. So my question for you is, what do you feel is how is your connection with 2004's Daredevil movie for Ben Affleck? What connects you to it?
Well, I watched it once, and then I wanted to go and do my own thing.
Was that before you got the role or after?
No, after I got the role. I hadn't seen it before I got the role. I watched it when I got the role. And to be fair, I think Ben Affleck does a really good Matt Murdock. I like his Matt Murdock.
Woo!
Yeah.
I agree, but I honestly think you're my favorite, even though he was my childhood.
Thank you. I don't love the movie.
Yes.
I feel like the movie tried to do too much, and it was a little tonally confused. They had everyone in that movie. They had Kingpin, they had Bullseye, they had Elektra, they had Karen Page, they had Foggy. It was saturated, and it's 2 hours.
Yes.
So that was part of that problem. Yes. And the suit sucks.
Yes. I was about to say that. Thank you so much. And by the way,
thank you.
Other than the fact that I love Daredevil, I just want to mention that my Lyft credit card is under the name Electronachios. That's how much of a big fan I am.
Very cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to go to the back there, yes.
Over here? Am I right? Over here?
Wait, who? Here.
Hi, Charlie. Hi. So I feel like this question is going to be a little bit controversial, but who is your favorite Spider-Man?
I'm sorry, I can't answer that. Andrew's one of my best friends. Wait, look, Toby's the original. Andrew's one of the greatest actors of a generation, and one of my best friends. And Tom is the right age. And do you know what I mean? Like, with all respect to the other grandpas,
Yeah.
he's the right. His youthful energy and his naivety and his excitement is like, yes, that you know what I mean. So all three of them bring something incredible to that role.
Yeah.
But a good question.
Thank you.
Before I call on you guys, I got to know, did you and Andrew talk about being in the movie, or did you have to keep that secret from each other?
So some people already know this because I talked about it, but basically, I when I knew I was going to be in the movie, and I found out Andrew was going to be in the movie, I texted him, and I was like, we're in the same movie. And he's like, no, we're not. I'm like, yeah, we are. And then he was like, you're not in the script. I'm like, well, I'm in Atlanta, so... and then we had, we got together and we had dinner, and we were... Some of you guys know because you brought it up today, but we had dinner in Atlanta, and as we sat down to eat in this restaurant, we both suddenly were like, if we get photographed now, that's really not a good look. Like, we basically just given it away. So there's a table, and there was a wall, and we were sitting like this, and then we moved our chairs and we sat against the wall for the whole dinner.
Just tell people you're in Tick Tick Boom too.
Yeah.
Excellent. Here. Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Didi.
Nice to meet you too. I was wondering if you ever found yourself, when you were making even the smallest of decisions, did you ever find yourself subconsciously thinking about what Matt would do in that scenario, or like...
You mean in life?
Yeah, just in general, not even if it was like groundbreaking, just like, oh, Matt would do this in this scenario, as you were playing the character, like as a connection thing. Did you ever find yourself making those little things or comments in your head, or...
When I'm playing the character, am I questioning what he would do?
Yeah, like even the smallest of like situations.
Oh, it's all that I'm doing. Like, I'm trying, when I'm acting with any character, I'm trying to I want to be very clear. Part of my process when I'm working is to identify what do I have in common with this character, and what do I not have in common with them.
Right.
And it's important to get both right. So with Matt, for example, at times Matt can be, when he's vulnerable and he's concerned or worried and he's trying to figure out, not sure, and he has doubt about what he's doing, that's an area that I identify with a lot. I'm like that. And I can, that was really easy for me. But Matt also has the ability, when he's talking to someone, he doesn't care about what they think of him at all.
Yeah.
He's completely unworried. He tells people exactly what he thinks, and he lets them handle their feelings. And that's not like me. I'm like too much of a people, I want people to like me, you know what I mean? So like that, I have to work on that. I had to make sure I'm like thinking in this scenario, Matt will be very blunt with this person, and he's not going to worry about it because he believes it's important to tell people the truth and then let them have their feelings. So yeah, with any job as an actor, you've got to figure out like how is the character similar and how is it different, and you have to have both.
Right.
Great question though.
Do you identify with like his moral grayness as an aspect, or?
Yeah, but not my job. My job is to play the script and let you guys decide. So. Yeah, there's sometimes he'll do something that I'll be like, wow, that's, like right at the end of the first episode of the whole series, he gets the guy on the ground, the baddie, whatever it is, and the guy is done, but then he keeps hitting him.
Yeah.
That's not okay, But we wanted to we were introducing a character that hadn't quite managed to keep his emotions in check. And it was like a dangerous thing. When he goes out and he engages in that, he can't always stop. And that was part of the excitement of the character, was that at times he goes too far. So yeah, you judge it, but my job is not to judge it, is to understand it.
One last question over here, because we're running out of time. But one here, This, I think, will be our last one. Sorry, everyone. I know we all have questions.
Hi. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for getting me through COVID. I binge watched Daredevil the whole 10 days. Anyways, so the question is, what do you think of the new Doctor Strange?
I haven't seen the new one. Is it out yet?
No, the trailer. You haven't seen that?
No.
Oh my god.
Wait, the movie's not out yet.
No.
No.
Soon though.
I haven't even seen the trailer.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. There you go. This lady's had her hand up from the beginning. These two.
Okay,
last
one,
question.
last one.
Thank you for your question. Sorry.
Which one?
Just your last one.
Hi. First of all, I just want to say congratulations on Kin's nomination for Best Drama, Irish Film Awards. So my question for you is, you've played obviously a lot of characters. What is the most important lesson you've learned, and what character was it?
Easy one.
Yeah. Oh man, that's I think the play that the play that for those of you who don't know, that Tom Hiddleston, myself, and Zawe Ashton. Betrayal. We did this play, Betrayal, and we did it for a whole year. We did it all in London for 6 months, and then we took it to Broadway in New York for 6 months. And there was just 3 of us in it, and three main characters, and the whole year we were doing the play. And it's just about it's about many things, but one of the things it deals with is these little, not lies, but these little untruths, these little moments that aren't lies, but they're not really truth, and how damaging they can be, and how they can infect and warp a situation until it becomes something monstrous. I don't know if this really answers your question, but other than to say, doing that play, I feel like it's made me very, very aware of everything you say. You have to really try to be as clear and concise, as honest as you possibly can, because those little kind of non-truths can fester, and they can really damage relationships and stuff like that. And that's what happens in the play. So this is kind of an important lesson. Great question.
Thank
Great
you.
question. Thank
Amazing answer.
Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Cox.
Thank you for having me, everyone. Be safe. Bye.